All right, Aidan, our first interview, our first episode of Hate Week, like we've been telling everybody on Twitter, and if they follow us on YouTube, on Apple, on Spotify, we are putting out episodes every single day this week leading into the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles on Christmas Eve. The biggest game of the season that now, I don't know if it's really the biggest game of the season, but it still is for you and for us. So we are having guests upon guests upon guests this week, and we thought the perfect guest to have on for our first episode was also a guest that we're going to be joining on his show, Flippin' the Birds, on Tuesday. So it is Morgan joining us from Flippin' the Birds. Morgan, backstage, I said, how are you doing? Definitely better than me. But at the same time, a little bit of, right?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely some moments yesterday where, I wasn't really sure what the outcome. I mean, you have faith, right? Jalen Hurts always pulls through, but definitely not the way I expected. I think we went through our show. We had some predictions, and they were 40-13 and all that stuff, and not quite. I feel like I got to stop guessing so high because it always seems to go that way. But not exactly the game we expected, but also it's a win's a win, so we'll take it.
It was, you're right. A win's a win. Like we said, we were talking backstage, just different outcomes between the Cowboys and the Eagles. Mm-hmm. They play each other this week, and it's like the end of times for the Cowboys. And for us, it's like, we're chilling 13-1. But do you have any concern for this game? Because like you mentioned, yesterday was pretty sloppy for Eagle standards.
Yep.
Jalen threw multiple interceptions for the first time. No run pass balance for most of the game. Is there any concern from what you saw yesterday leading into the Cowboys game this week?
Well, I mean, the interceptions are inexcusable, right? And we're talking about a third-year quarterback. And I understand the second one, maybe on Quez Watkins and stuff like that. But we're talking about an MVP caliber quarterback at this point in the year, and so you just can't have that. But it's exciting to see him figure out ways to win. Things aren't going well. He talked about how cold his hands were, and I'm Canadian. You
have no sympathy for that.
I'm not falling for that, man. I played in worse weather myself, so I'm not going to give him credit for that one. But he found a way to win. Put in 3 touchdowns with his legs. Probably could have been one through the air too if AJ didn't get caught from behind. I don't his Madden rating probably going down for that one, but it's good to see. Them just find ways to win, and the defense, man, that D-line is hitting stride at the right time. Justin Fields is a hard person to rush. He's a hard quarterback to get on the ground, and the Eagles did it plenty of times in dire situations where they needed a stop. It's not the win you wanted to see, but I think what it is just, we've been talking all year about where that adversity is going to come from with, a fairly easy schedule preparing for the season. I think it's just that adversity the Eagles need to be facing, and, a different game for the Cowboys, but similar. I think that both teams kind of play down to their opponents, and it's been throughout the season. You see the difference between who the Colts are and who the Colts got. When they played the Eagles, right? So it's very different. It's been a weird year all around, but I think these two teams in particular play down to their opponent, and that's the one nice thing about the playoffs is there's no bad teams in the playoffs. So,
except for maybe the NFC South team.
I was going to say maybe the NFC
South until the Dallas Cowboys go to whoever that team is and lose. So that's
right.
What's going to happen.
Of course.
I mean, that is my fate. I'm a broken human. So, and you say the Eagles find ways to win, which they do. Besides the Houston game and the 98-yard drive for the Cowboys to find a way to win, they just find ways to lose overtime games. So if you just get them to overtime maybe on Christmas Eve, they're going to lose. You're going to win. So that would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to me to see. I don't know, one, feel like Doug Peterson just has the Cowboys number. I don't know, again, he had an up and down career in Philly during the regular season, but he seems to have Dallas's number. But I was expecting more about the defense, to be honest. I thought that was probably one of Trevor Lawrence's best games. But you expect that defense to kind of make a play. I'm happy it didn't happen, but that's what you're waiting on, right? Late in the fourth quarter, you expect one of those guys in that pretty stacked defense to just make a play, and it didn't happen. But that's not saying it can't happen in other big games. So may have not turned out that way, but it's still a potent team, man.
It is. They are. It's such a hard feeling. And Aidan, we've talked about this. Last week, when Dallas beat Houston, right? It's like one of those, like, I'm happy they won, but at the same time, and this, it's like, yeah, I'm happy they have 10 wins, they're in the playoffs, but at the same time, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And the Trevor Lawrence thing, like, it's just crazy. He's just turning into the Trevor Lawrence that we expected. I think part of the Cowboys situation is they just ran into a team at the wrong time.
Yep.
But they did give up over 500 yards of offense. Lawrence threw 4 touchdowns. Morgan, looking at our game plan yesterday, we pretty much ran a game plan as if we were playing in a dome, climate controlled, against a banged up secondary, airing it out. That's what we'll be doing this week. Do you think we go with that game plan again, or do you think they go back to that balance of getting Miles Sanders and everybody else involved in the run game?
I mean, it looks stagnant, right? Regardless of what the game plan was, it just looked like maybe the offensive staff was looking forward to the next week. It just seemed like there was a lot of tricks up their sleeve that maybe they had an ace in the hole and they just weren't pulling it. You expect to not have to use that against the Bears, but at this point, every win matters, right? So I think there was some adjustment in the second half, but the game plan seemed to be, QB draw after QB draw, and then we'll throw it deep to AJ or Devontae Smith and see what happens. And you like to see them come down with that. Like, it's insane, really, to see Jalen Hurts have a game where he throws 2 interceptions early and is still not afraid to throw downfield like he did. They're picture perfect. Like, I don't know why it goes so unnoticed how beautiful Jalen Hurts' deep ball is, but it might be the best in the league.
Dramatically improved.
Yeah, you know what? It reminds me of vintage Russ a little bit. Remember how good Russ threw the deep ball back
100%.
before he fell off a cliff?
Yeah, 100%, and off balance and off timing too. Like, you're seeing these routes develop, and you know he's going to be open, and either that ball's out early and he's putting it high into the outside to give his receiver a chance. Or he's just finding a way to kind of fit it back shoulder. It's just incredible, really. And so, it's great to see that happen. Is that a game plan that's going to work against the Dallas Cowboys? With, we know who's in their secondary, right? They're feisty. They'll challenge for the balls. No one. Fair enough.
I have the game plan for you right now. Bring it down to NovaCare. Tell Nick Sirianni, Diggs is on one side. Don't throw over there.
Fair enough.
Whoever's on this side, I don't care if it's Devontae, if it's AJ Brown, if it's Quez Watkins, if it's Pascal, whoever's over there, just throw it to them. Because you either have a rapper that's playing on them, or Nashawn Wright, or somebody that they just picked up off waivers. So take your chances.
Well, I mean, what Dallas is going to try and do is get pressure on Jalen Hurts to alleviate some of that pressure on the secondary. And I think you named a name that will be really important. That's Quez Watkins. We've kind of keep waiting for him to take that step, and we've seen some games where maybe he's been that option, or he's come down with a touchdown that was well needed, but he really has the opportunity here to take over as a third receiver, and that's not asking a bunch, but 3 to 4 catches that really matter a game, and there's just been some opportunities he's leaving out on the field. So it would be awesome to see that, because we know how much attention that AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are going to get. Now, I don't know if do you think Diggs will follow AJ?
He hasn't been following too much, more this year than he did last year. I mean, I thought they were going to do it yesterday once they were getting beaten up, but they haven't done it. So I don't know. They might have to, but at the same time, I mean, I want no part of Devontae Smith on Kelvin Joseph if Kelvin Joseph plays. I mean, and the thing that you guys should do, and that's scaring me to death, is watch the drive that the Jaguars had, their first scoring drive of yesterday, when it was 14-0. Jag go down the field and score. They were doing nothing but RPOs, misdirections, get everything going one way, go the other way. And with Leighton Vander Esch out, the Cowboys with Anthony Barr and Damone Clark, they don't have a linebacker that's going to be disciplined with his eyes. They're going to take the eye candy and go, and guess what? See you later going this way. And the Eagles are so good at that I am dreading.
And that was the game plan the first time we played you guys, was to, like Morgan, you said, alleviate that pressure, because they're going to try to blitz Jalen. They got the ball out of his hands quickly with misdirection, AJ Brown coming across the formation, and I would expect more of that. And to tie it all together, it seemed like they were trying to do that yesterday with Quez Watkins, with the misdirection runs and stuff like that, and it wasn't working, but they were trying to get him involved. Maybe Goddard coming back and taking those intermediate routes opens it over the top for Quez, and you get that shot. But I agree, like, I would love to go back and watch the drives of the Cowboys getting carved up. That sounds like fun. I'll do that after this.
There you go. That's what I'm here to do for you. And I think the other thing, you guys say that the Cowboys want to get pressure on Jalen Hurts, which obviously they do. But where are they going to be able to generate this pressure, right? Because Dorrance Armstrong got hurt. He hyperextended his knee, so I don't know if he's going to be playing. And now with the injury of Leighton Vander Esch, right? It's not his neck, it's a shoulder singer. So he's probably going to be back for the playoffs, but they're probably not going to play him this week. Right. So that means, are they going to move Micah Parsons back to traditional linebacker because they pretty much need him there? DeMarcus Lawrence is still hurt. So where's that pressure coming from? I don't know. I really don't know.
I mean, it seems this defense, Dallas defense, is really predicated on playing fast and kind of taking that first read, just trusting your gut. And you kind of forget, I don't know, like Michael Parsons, it doesn't feel like it's his second year. It doesn't feel like it's Trayvon Diggs, second year. And so it's still a really young defense. And when you coach a young defense to see what's in front of them and play what's in front of them, that's what happens is they do get susceptible to these kind of, I mean, it's Doug Peterson as well. He's a master at doing those kind of things where he's got the 5 different ways to just do a receiver reverse. And so, it's kind of, they kind of just met their match in that week. I think like that, it's just Doug Peterson loves to do that kind of stuff. And that's what Dallas is susceptible to. But the other point you make, Aidan, is just how important Dallas Goedert is to this offense. It can't be understated. It can't be overstated. Sorry. It's just that target over the middle. And this is what we've been talking about with Jalen Hurts, is that development that we really need to see is for him to step up in the pocket and throw those passes. And I think what we saw a bit in the Bears game is, they're just not willing to go out of the way during the week of a Bears game to teach Grant Calcaterra and Jack Stoll how to run these routes that Dallas Goedert should be running. Like, they know they're getting Dallas back in a week. They're not going to put in a bunch of plays where they have them, using misdirection and using good route running to get open over the middle. Instead, it was Quez Watkins. And you see that kind of disconnect there where Quez Watkins is usually asked to go over the top, run those deep posts, run those go routes, and then, some intermediate routes. And they're really depending on him to do that now that Dallas Goedert's gone. And I like Jack Stoll. I like Grant Calcaterra. You pronounce the C, or is it soft?
Calca, right?
Calcaterra,
yeah. But yeah, both receivers, they both are good at developing into good receivers, but they're no Dallas Goedert. And so for Jalen Hurts, his big problem is hitting those targets over the middle. He's really missing Dallas Goedert for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. We should be super thankful and emphasize the fact that this offense was still able to churn out yards, points, put up 40 last week, 40 twice actually, 35 against the Titans without him, and to go 4-0, because it's so funny. You see the massive hole without him there in the offense, and yet they were still able to score, which now is like a good problem to have, that you're adding this top 5 tight end who's blossomed into an offense that's already working. But it was so crazy to just see them able to score and move the ball, but also see the production from the tight end possession just completely fell off a cliff, both receiving and blocking. And I like Calcaterra. I hope he turns into something. I think he'd be a great backup tight end. But, yesterday, I think they got 2 catches total out of the tight end position. Tyree Jackson got called for a block in the back or a hold on a screen to Quez Watkins. So it's you just didn't get anything from those guys. And now you add him. So I 100% agree. This is such a game changer to have that, lifesaver and Goedert over the middle.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It's just gonna make such a difference with everyone. You're gonna be able to see Devontae Smith now start to work over the middle. You've seen even the routes from AJ Brown and Devontae Smith change now that Dallas Goedert's out. Is a lot more hooks, a lot more comebacks, a lot more pinning them to the outside and using that space, just because they don't feel like they can threaten teams over the middle.
Yeah. And it's bringing him back for this week, right? We said how banged up the secondary is for the Cowboys and how bad CB2 is. I mean, now with Goedert coming back, a guy like Jaron Kearse has to be on Goedert now. He's not going to be able to be floating out and helping the cornerbacks. So that just brings even more pressure on this Dallas Cowboys defense.
Absolutely.
100%.
Let me ask you both. I have a fun question. So the air sort of has been taken out of this game a little bit because, and I will admit it, the Cowboys didn't hold up their end of the bargain, right?
Say that one more time.
Did their job. Cowboys haven't done their job, right? So the division is out of reach for the Cowboys. So Cowboys are in the playoffs. Thank you to the Giants. But division, first overall seed, first round bye. Is it that much sweeter if you clinch it against the Cowboys?
See, I was kind of hoping there would be a scenario where they feel confident enough to rest the starters against the Cowboys, because that would deflate every Dallas Cowboys ego. Like that would be so deflating to not even play the starting team. But absolutely, I mean, anytime you can clinch, and do it in a division game, it's going to mean that much more. But and again, like, it'd be nice to do it against the Saints. It would be nice to do it against the Giants as well. But it just means something different against the Cowboys, I think.
Aidan, you agree?
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's just going to be so much sweeter, like that final dagger. And who knows, it could trend that we end up playing each other in the divisional round anyway. Mm-hmm. I think if we had both won, I was very worried from a psychological standpoint that this would be the most important game for the Cowboys. This would be their Super Bowl of the season. Mm-hmm. And for us, we'd be like, if we lost that game, we'd be like, oh, well, we have to beat the Saints at home, Yeah. And it's just like, would you mentally be prepared for a team that was going to go out all 110%? You and I were texting about it, Kevin. Now I don't know if the Cowboys have that mentality.
Yep, they don't.
Like they're 10-4. They're kind of locked in the 5 seed. They're not going to win the division, and the other wild card teams aren't going to catch them. They're floating there. It's kind of where the Eagles were at last year when they rested their starters in the final game as the wild card. It's like, well, we don't have anything to do.
Right.
They're the fish at the end of Finding Nemo. They escaped. They made the playoffs. But now they're in the bag, just floating in the ocean. They're like, well, now what? That's kind of where they're at right now. So from a psychological standpoint, I was worried. Now I feel like I'm less worried, and I hope that helps and we do clinch against you guys.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually a bit nervous, to be honest. After that loss, it's a tough loss and it's an emotional one. Don't get me wrong. And then having to play another emotional week, it can definitely make or break a team at this point in the year. And I'm kind of worried that we get the best Dallas Cowboys that we've seen all year because of that game last week. And there's just some if they would have lost at the end of regulation, it's one thing, but that Dak Prescott is watching that play over and over and over again. And I just think he's going to play mistake-free football. Now, that doesn't mean the Cowboys are going to win, but it's a tough team to beat if they're not giving the ball up, if they're not making mistakes. And that's what it is they're so talented. I know they're missing pieces, but really it's been the Cowboys kind of making those mistakes and kind of shooting themselves in the foot. And that's what we're used to, right? As Eagles fans, it's fantastic to watch, but that's kind of what we're used to is eventually the Dallas Cowboys are going to do something where they take themselves out of contention. And if they don't do that, and especially come playoffs, if they're healthy, that's a team that can hang with anyone in the league talent wise.
And I will tell you, I've been dubbing this the Twitter Bowl 2022 because if the Cowboys do win this game,
oh, absolutely,
my fan base is not going to shut the F up.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't want it any other way, though. I think that's how it should be. That's how the rivalry should be. One way or another, we're going to get online at a time of the year where everyone's supposed to be in a giving mood and a cheerful spirit, and we're just going to go full-fledged attack on one another.
You mean like yesterday when I was holding my daughter crying, watching the end of that game, and all of a sudden I got an immediate FaceTime from you as soon as Dak threw the interception.
I'm a good friend. I was checking.
Yeah, you have to do it. You have to.
Yeah.
You got to keep it grounded, somehow.
Definitely.
And you got any more before I hit him with the last question?
No, I'm not. I think this is the perfect lead into our final question, so I'll let you take it.
So we're asking every single person we interview this week. Like we said, if you're watching, you're listening, we have 10 guests coming on this week across the Eagles and the Cowboys content creation, 8 different interviews. We're going to ask every single person this question. How do you sum up the Cowboys and Eagles rivalry in one sentence?
Greatest rivalry in sports.
I mean, it's a perfect answer for the first one. I mean, this is why we had you on first, Morgan.
Of course. Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. I mean, there's something about this rivalry that even football fans or non-football fans understand, and that's special. You know what I mean? Like, I don't watch baseball. I don't know the rivalries, but I talk to all my friends that don't watch football. They understand what Cowboys Eagles means. So that's something. That's something for sure.
That's a great point. I agree. Definitely the best rivalry in football, if not all of sports. If football's the biggest sport here, then we need the biggest rivalry to be in football. So 1,000% agree.
All right, Morgan, let everybody know where they can follow you, how they can watch you, how they can see your beautiful face.
For sure. So yeah, I'm a co-host of Flippin' the Birds. We do our shows mostly every Tuesday. Sometimes we mix it up. And then I'm a part of PSN, Philly Sports Network. I'm doing less writing these days, but there's so many great writers for PSN. We recently got credentialed for the Eagles, so there'll be great content coming out. And if I can shout out one person, my co-host Brian Cameron. Go give him a follow. He works his butt off, man. And so if give me a follow, but give him one as well.
He is great.
Very selfless of you. You guys have the opposite dynamic. Teammates. Yeah. We're like me and Kevin are constantly on opposite sides.
That's what happens when you cheer for the same team, man. It makes things so easy.
Makes it fun. Yep. Makes it fun.
Well,
all right.
We'll definitely see you guys tomorrow for sure. We're excited to come on Flipping the Birds, like you mentioned. So we'll pick up this conversation when we meet again here in about less than 24 hours, I think.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
From now.
All right, Morgan, we appreciate it. We will catch you on your episode of Flipping the Birds tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. Looking forward to it, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.